All right, guys. So I'm Candice with the Housing Fund, and I'm the senior loan officer here, and I process the loans. I do the intake, um, closing, and do the funding and the whole nine for you. Um, so the Housing Fund, we've been around for 25 years doing down payment closing cost assistance and development loans. And I'm just going to go through our down payment closing cost assistance. The piece that I work on the most is our down payment closing cost assistance. I think most of you guys have worked with the Housing Fund before, so you probably know about our down payment closing cost assistance. We can lend up to $35,000 for the down payment closing cost assistance in Tennessee, only Tennessee at this time. The minimum loan amount is $5,000. Again, the max is $35,000. The term is going to be 10 or 15 years, depending on the loan amount that the borrower receives from the Housing Fund. So if you're needing between 5 and 10,000, the term would be 10 years. And then anything over 10,000 would be 15-year term. The interest rate is going to depend on the income in the household. So if we scroll down here to the household income. So for example, 4 people in the household, the max income that's going to be allowed in that household is $101,150. This is the Nashville Msa. The Nashville Msa, it covers about, I want to say maybe 10 or 11 counties. So anything that's touching Davidson County, Rutherford, Sumner, Murray, Robertson, Williamson, anything that's touching Davidson County, we're going to go under this Nashville income. Clarksville has a different income, a little bit lower. I know a lot of people are going towards the Clarksville area, but that income is a little bit lower than the Nashville MSA. So here we are looking at the tier that they fall in to determine their interest rate. Tier 1 is the 80% area median income, and we are looking at HUD income limits. That's what the income limits we're going off of, HUD income limits. So 80, 100, and 120% AMI. If you are taking this loan FHA, the rate for Tier 1 would be 5%. Tier 2 is 9%, and Tier 3 is 10%. So 5, 9, and 10, that's here right here at the loan terms, 5, 9, and 10, depending on the income in the household. That's if you're going FHA. If you can take it conventional, it's a little bit better. We can do 2% over your first mortgage rate. So if you have 3.5 on your first mortgage, the second mortgage would be 5.5. So 2% above your first mortgage rate, instead of that 9 or 10. But if they fall in Tier 1, it's going to be capped at 5%. It's not going to be 2% over your first mortgage rate. It will be capped at 5% if they fall in Tier 1. That's that on the income and the rate. The minimum credit score is 600. If they have above a 620, we can lend up to 35,000. If they have between that 600 and 619 score, we can only lend $10,000 to that borrower. But above 620, we can go up to 35,000. First mortgage lender has to be approved FHA lender in the state of Tennessee. Do not have to be in Tennessee, but that lender must be a FHA lender in Tennessee, for Tennessee. Complete a homebuyer education certificate. Any THDA approved counseling will be fine. We are THDA approved counselors here at the Housing Fund. Most of the clients go through eHome America for $99 and then do the follow-up with Frida or any THDA approved counselor to get that certificate. That is fine. We do not accept frameworks or any other online certificates, only eHome at this time. So that is the Nashville flyer. I'm gonna put this PDF in the chat for you guys. This is just a breakdown of the tiers. The loan amount between 5 and 10,000, if they fall in Tier 1, will be 5%, 10-year term. Anything over 10,001 will be a 15-year term. That changes 10 to 15. Tier 2, 9%. Same thing, 10 or 15. Tier 3, 10%. It's just telling you what the rate would be if it's FHA, 2% more if it's conventional. This is our underwriting checklist. So what happens when you get the ball rolling is you will send me the request for loan approval, the underwriting checklist. This is the underwriting checklist, and this is what we're going through just to make sure that the borrower is eligible for our program. Discount and origination points cannot exceed 2%. And when we're looking at that, a lot of times we get held up at the closing because of those fees in Section A on the CD exceeds 2% of the sales price. Regardless who was paying for that fee, it cannot exceed 2%. So if it's the seller or the realtor, whoever, it cannot exceed 2% of the sales price. So we just need to try to keep that down below that. It's just a handful times that we run into that issue. Closing costs cannot exceed 4% of the sales price. That excludes PMI, prepays, and title insurance. We usually don't have that problem. First mortgage interest rate must be within the current FHA rate, and we are just looking at bankrate, bankrate.com. Loan to value does not exceed 100%. The mortgage can be a FHA, THDA. We will fall behind THDA and go into third position. That is the only time that we will go into third position if a borrower is getting funds from THDA and then need additional funds from the housing fund. We will fall in second position. But FHA, THDA, VA, conventional, any of those. We spoke about the 10,000 credit score. The next one is there may be no 60 or 90-day delinquencies, judgments, collections, or charge-offs within the past 12 months. No more than two 30-day delinquencies in the past 12 months. So if you had someone that had a delinquency or collections within the past 12 months, we would not be able to do the loan unless it was medical. If it's medical, we would just have them to pay that collection off, and we can move forward. Chapter 7 and Chapter 13, they have to be discharged. I have made an exception on one this week where we did a chapter, someone was still in the bankruptcy. I'm not sure, can't remember which one it was, but they were still in bankruptcy, and they got a letter from the trustee office saying that they were good to purchase a home. They had established good payment history and everything. So we did make an exception on that. So we can work around that if we need to. Must be on the present job for 120 days. If there was a job change, they just need to be in the same field. The DTI cannot exceed 45%. CLTV does not exceed 104. First mortgage lender, FHA lender in Tennessee, and then the homebuyer education course is required. So I will need this form back along with the request for loan approval. The request for loan approval is showing you all the documents that I will need to start processing this loan. Transmittal summary, loan estimate, income documents, the 1003, Dpa application. Those are the main items that I will need to start processing this loan. Whatever you don't have, if you don't have the appraisal, if you don't have the homebuyer education certificate or tax returns or bank statements at that time, that's okay. Give me 1 second, you guys. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. go back through that. The things that I need to process is transmittal summary, loan estimate, income documents, contract needs to be on the property, the 1003, the Dpa application. Those are the things that I need to start processing. If you don't have anything on, if you don't have nothing else, send me those things. The submissions at thehousingfund.org is where you will send those documents to. So the request for loan approval, underwriting checklist, those are the two forms that the lender is going to complete and send over to the submissions at thehousingfund.org. You complete this form. Let me know the borrower's information. In here, let me know what is needed from the housing fund. If you are needing $10,000 from the housing fund, I'm going to automatically push that to $10,001 to get that 15 years. Unless you tell me that you want to keep it at a 10-year term, I'm going to automatically push to a 15-year term. So if I see $10,000, I'm going to make it 10,001 just to push it out for you. We also have fees associated with the housing fund. So we have a $500 processing fee. We have a credit report fee, it's $20.95 per borrower. We have the recording fee. It ranges between $50 and $80 to record the second mortgage. Sometimes the title company charge a fee and sometimes they don't. It just depends on the title company that you guys choose for the borrower. Then there's a $15 fee to wire the funds to the title company. Those fees are going to come out of our loan amount. So I say add additional, throw additional $1,000 on there. We can deduct that amount if we need to, because really it will be between it will be between $600 and $800 for those fees, and it's just going to depend on if title is going to charge. Sometimes title does not charge for that second mortgage closing. I know quite a few title companies that do not charge to record the second. I mean, to do the second mortgage. They don't really do a lot for the second. They do create the second mortgage CD, and that's about it. I'm going to create the rest of the documents for closing. So here, be sure to add probably additional $1,000 so that those fees can be deducted, and then you get the net proceeds from the housing fund. This is the Dpa application that the borrower is going to complete. They can complete this application and send it back to you guys, and you can send it back in the package to that submissions email. 6-page application. This is our disclosure page. This is what I go over with the borrower, let them know what they're signing up for. Soon, we're going to change this where I'm not having to speak with those borrowers. If they're signing off on this application, we're just going to take that they have went over this application and have, since they have initialed it and said they're understanding it, we're going to move forward with processing it. At this time, I'm still going over these disclosures. It takes me about 5 minutes per borrower to do this. I'm just going to run through them and just let you know what I go over with the borrower. So if a borrower is asking what are they signing up for, I just want you to be able to let them know. So the first thing I tell them, this is a loan, it's not a gift or a grant. It will be a monthly payment. The monthly payment will depend on their income in their household and the loan amount that they receive from the housing fund. It is separate from their first mortgage. So they have that first mortgage payment, the housing fund payment, and we will have a lien on their property until our loan amount is paid off. The next one is, even though they have been approved for that first mortgage, we still have our own guidelines and we have to approve them as well. The next one is we're looking for affordability. We look at the income and we look at the total debt. This is how we determine the debt to income ratio for qualifying purposes. I will be pulling their credit report, have to have at least a 600 credit score, and I'm just going to be making sure they're able to afford the new mortgage with the debt that they already have. The next one is 1% of the sales price must be brought to the closing. That 1% can be earnest money, appraisal, or home inspection. Any of that count towards the 1%. And if the 1% has not been met, they'll just bring it to the closing table. Again, that can be the earnest money, appraisal, or home inspection. That is what counts towards that 1%. The next one is they must attend a homebuyer education. Any THDA approved counseling would be fine. The next one is there are fees associated with this loan, the $500 processing, the credit report, the title company fees, the wire fee, and it's just going to come out of the loan that we lend them. The next one is this property must be their primary residence. It cannot be investment property. If they decide to move out and rent the property out, they would need to pay the housing fund off first. The next one is additional counseling may be required. If it was something that would worry us, we would recommend that they go back to a homebuyer education just to make sure they are a successful homeowner and helping them work on a budget if needed. We sometimes get funds of, like right now we have some property tax funds to help individuals pay for their property taxes. If they were needing to get those funds, we may ask that they do a post-purchase course or a money management course to have access to those funds. The next one is monthly payments are due on the 1st of every month. They should have completed the ACH form where it's going to automatically come out of their account. It can be taken out on the 1st or the 15th. And Hannah, she works on the back end. She'll send out some information how to get in touch with them, get in touch with her in case something needs to be changed. That's just the automated payments. The next one is no other loan can be allowed on this loan. If they decide to refinance, sell, or transfer ownership, they would need to pay the housing fund off first. And then the last one is this is not a complete application until I went over the disclosures with the borrower, got the application back from the lender and the application back from the borrower. Then I can go ahead and start processing once they give me back this application. Again, I'm not going to be going over this once this application is updated. We're just going to take it as they understand everything. The lender has communicated with them what they're signing up for and such. And that's just the rest of the application privacy. We can't give out any information to anyone that's not on the loan. Electronic disclosure, just saying that we will reach out via email if they would like or do not wish to do the email. Then there's an ACH form. This is what they're sending to get that ACH withdrawal, automatic deduction, deducted from their account, sorry. And then this is the flyers. I'm going to put these flyers down in the chat. So I just put these in here because it's different income limits, and Michael is working on different income limits. So if you need the different counties, Michael can send that out to you guys. But I'm going to drop this one in the chat. So I got Nashville MSA. This is the Memphis MSA. Clarksville, as you can see, Clarksville is very low. I think Nashville was what, 101,000, and here we are in Clarksville at 76,000. Big difference. And then Chattanooga, Knoxville, and those are the flyers. Also, we have, I don't have it in here, but I'm gonna go back up to this top flyer. We also have a program for down payment and closing cost assistance for Nashville only. I'm gonna find that flyer and put that in there as well. But Nashville only, Davidson County, Tier 1 borrowers in this 80% AMI. So if you find some borrowers that are in Davidson County, 80% or below AMI, we have a 0 monthly payment, 0 interest. It's a due on sale. If they sell or refinance or transfer ownership, that is when they pay the housing fund back. Then we push it back out in the community at the same thing, 0% interest, 0 monthly payment. But that is for Davidson County, same guidelines as the regular down payment assistance. It's just 0 monthly payment, 0 interest, due on sale. Again, it will never be forgiven. So if they stay in a home 30 years, we still have a lien on that property for that. And it's only up to 10,000. That program is only up to 10,000. So if they fall in Tier 1, needing the HDA funds, we can do the 10,000, and if they are needing more, we can put it with our down payment closing cost assistance and give them additional funds for that. We also have home improvement loans. So if some home repairs are need to be done after closing, we can go ahead and make it a home improvement loan as well. I think that's all I got. I'm gonna open it up for questions, you guys. I'm gonna chat.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Lee Franks from over in Maryville, Tennessee. You mentioned that any lender that will accept a subordinate loan to their first mortgage is acceptable to you. It doesn't have to be a pre-approved T housing fund lender. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, cool. That's great.
Good.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Any questions in the chat, Michael? Are we good?
So far we're good.
Okay, I'm gonna find this down payment assistance application for the 0 monthly payment, 0 interest. You guys drop it in the chat.
So the 0 interest Davidson County thing is sort of like the THDA thing.
Do they have
Correct.
a 0? Do they have something like that right now?
Well, I mean, the 5% thing is 0 interest. You got to pay it, but you got to pay it back when you
Sell.
sell or refinance. Yes.
Okay. Yep. And how much is it? You say 5%.
It's yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's that.
Or it used to be. We used to do THDA and we don't anymore. So.
Okay. Gotcha.
Our next question says the housing fund will need to be listed as a second on the insurance deck page, correct?
Yeah, just list it. We don't have to have title insurance, anything like that. Just list us.
Someone says, did you say that the down payment assistance program is available to applicants from Murray County? Yes, we service all of Tennessee.
Yes. And that falls under that Nashville Msa income as well. I just dropped that flyer in the chat. We would really like to push that 0 monthly payment. I mean, yeah, those home funds, you guys. I have probably enough to do about 20 of those loans. A lot of people have been doing refinancing, so that those funds are coming back in. So we need to push them back out at 0 monthly payment, 0 interest in Davidson County. And so that is available for you guys.
Lee, I see your question in the chat. We're going to be posting income limits for every single county here in the coming days. If you have a question today, feel free to email me. I'll post my email in the chat one more time, and I'm happy to get you requirements for that specific county that you have in mind.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
And let me tell you how the process works. So once you get the application, you send all that information to that submissions email. Someone's on the back end helping me get that information, and she's going to let me know if something is missing. If anything is missing that I need, she's going to let you guys know. that I'm not working on it until I get that information. I get that and I go ahead and start processing it. I send out an approval to the lender with the loan estimate. Title company will get closing instructions with the loan estimate. The borrower is going to get the loan estimate with their credit report disclosures. I need title to create the CD for the housing fund. We have TRIA guidelines as well. Title will need to create that CD for me. We have not got the system where we create the CD yet, but we are working on it. So I will need title to create that CD for the housing fund. Once they create that CD for the housing fund, I will send it out to the borrower to acknowledge. I will copy the lender on it, and the borrower acknowledges that CD. We can close 3 days after. I asked the title company to give me the closing documents 3 hours prior to closing. That gives me time to create my documents that I need to send over to closing. And then we're wiring the funds. We got it closed.
Hi, Candice. It's Will, U.S. Bank.
Hey, Will.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, good. Question in regards to that CD. They're creating the CD for you, but are you also giving them what your fee is for?
Yes, the loan estimate will have our fees, the $500 processing fee, the credit report fee, and the wire fee. So those are the 3 fees that are going to be listed on there. And then I need the title company to come up with if they're going to be charging a fee and how much it is going to be to record the loan. So then they're going to deduct those fees, and then that net amount is going to go towards the first mortgage.
So then you're saying take the loan estimate, send it over to me, or you sending it over to the title company?
I'm going to send it over to the title company. I usually always copy the lender on that email.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Great.
We have another question. It says, do we need to build a second loan for the THF lien, similar to how we build a second for a THDA lien and for disclosure? So basically, do we need to disclose this loan?
No, I'm going to disclose everything on my end. I don't know how you need to put it in the system on your end, but I'm going to disclose everything for the second mortgage. And I think some lenders, they do it different. So I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone have any insight or who've been working with the housing fund, if they have to, how they're putting it in their system. But the housing fund, you don't have to do anything on our side.
Yeah, Candice, answer to that question on our side at U.S. Bank, we don't, because the housing fund is different from the THDA, we don't have to do anything. You just disclose it as long as our underwriter is aware of it.
That's it.
Yeah, it was a real simple process. In fact, my manager says, wait a minute, are you saying we don't have to create one? No, you don't. That's what I like about it. I didn't have to sit there and create one in our system. Just wait for your package and then send it over.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
Candice, I do have another question in regards to, I mean, if I have somebody that's, out there home shopping, and that's where I think I get confused every now and then was, can I still get a package over to you to at least, reserve the funds? I mean, and what's the minimal do I need to send over to you?
We don't reserve the funds. The funds are available. We haven't ran out of funds. The only time we have stopped lending is when we have shut down tier 2 and tier 3, and we have not shut down those tiers in a long time. All tiers have been open, but we would like for them to have a contract in on the property, and when you're getting ready to send it, once they found that contract, go ahead and send me the packet, and or as soon as you're getting ready to send it to your underwriting team, send it over here to us.
Okay, so don't waste any time on it, because that was my confusion on that last one that we did. I was like going, oh, darn, I didn't realize I could get it in
Yeah,
soon.
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you.
you're welcome. And the turn time was about 14 to 20 business days. I have cut it back to about 5 to 7. So I'm trying to get them out quickly.
Sweet, I like that.
Yep.
One other thing on your website, I never could see or find, rates, on there. Do you ever post that on your website?
Is that on there, Michael? I know it's on this rate sheet on this flyer that I got on here. I want to say that it may say vary, Michael, on there.
I think, yeah, it varies.
Okay.
I mean,
Based on income tier and loan type and all. And
Okay.
Yeah.
my go-to rate is always 10. I put 10 just to make sure, because I can never find it. I say, okay, I can never find the rate on this.
And because my income is a little bit different from what a lender, you probably wouldn't know what that rate would be for the second. So when you're doing that request for loan approval, it asks what tier they're falling in, but you probably don't know, because the income, the way that we calculate income is projecting it out for the year and not just the hourly. We count everything, overtime, whatever they have year to date is going in the system and projecting it out for the entire year. So it may put the income up a little bit higher than what the lender is coming up with.
We have another question that says, if there is a non-occupying co-borrower, does their income count towards the income limit?
It does. We count household income.
You mentioned you count household income, but this is a non-occupying based on that question.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do not look at non-occupying borrowers. If they're not in the household, we are not counting their income, and we don't even do those types. So they have to be in the household to be on the loan. Sorry, thank you for that, Will.
So if I understand that, if we're pursuing this money, there can be a co-borrower, but it has to be living in the home, not a non-occupying. We can't.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. And if they're living in the attic, just kidding.
Main floors only. No, I'm just kidding.
But to be clear, this is like rural development though, whether they're on the loan or not, it's household income. So if Mama is living with you, getting her Social Security, that counts, whether she's on the loan or not.
That's correct.
Okay.
We don't count it for the DTI, but we do count it for in the household.
Well, so what would determine the household income? Just the application itself?
Correct. The application, the borrower's income, the household income. That's what we're looking at. We get the pay stubs from the borrower.
I mean, you can have maybe 90-year-old mom living in the home, but she gets Social Security, but they're not going to put her on the application.
Right. But we're still including her the income in the household. Yeah.
So whether they're on the loan or not, it's the household income. So if you have somebody getting Social Security that's not on the loan that lives in the household, you include it in the application. If you have a child that works part-time at McDonald's that lives in the household, you include that income.
We will count
for the application.
Right. We're not counting children income if they're in school. unless they are college. If they are college age, we count, I can't remember if it's $240. It's not much, $240 or $480 of the income in the household, not much for the year.
Yeah, it just dawned on me that your application is asking for all in the household, and that's going to give age, and now it's going to bring in the question, okay, well, how much income is that person bringing in, even though they're not on the loan or on the loan?
Yeah. And I have seen where it has put some households over the income limit. Yeah. But we do count the household income.
So if I tell them,
Go ahead, Will.
so if I tell them, hey, push mom to some other brother or sister's home.
Push her out. Get her out of there.
Not like I'm mean here.
Right.
Just trying to make sure you guys as well. Can you
Make it work.
this?
Yeah.
Another chat question says, if the borrower receives bonuses, but we are not using the bonuses for qualification purposes, does that still count towards the income limit?
We do count the bonus as a one-time. So I take it out of the year to date and just count it as one time that they have received it. So it's not projecting them to keep making that same amount each week or each month.
In regards to income like Social Security or where it's not taxed, are you what do you call it? No, I forgot my thoughts. Rounding it up.
Grossing up.
Grossing it up.
If we need to gross it up, we can. We gross it up by 115. But if we need to, we can. Social Security and child support.
But if you do that, that could push, there's a possibility of pushing him over.
I'm not going to do it if I don't need to.
Oh, I see.
But I'm not going to do it unless I need to for the, if they're on the loan for DTI purposes. But if they're making $800, if they're getting $800 a month, that's what I'm going to put in there that they're getting. I'm not grossing that up unless it's needed.
As long as it's within the debt ratio, of course.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Well, we have about 5 more minutes, so feel free to get any more questions in. If you have anybody, we'll stick around for about 5 more minutes. And then once again, I'm posting my email in the chat. If you have any questions after this, 10:57 comes, you go, oh, that's one. We got an email right there. Just feel free to send them on over. I know it happens. So please feel free to reach out after as well. This is not a forever hold your peace. We are happy to help.
I appreciate what you did on the last one where you lowered the loan amount to get the debt ratio in line. Are you using your own debt ratio or are you using our debt ratio also? I mean, we're looking at 2 different numbers here. Am I correct on that?
That is correct. We come up with our own DTI, like their own income. I will be pulling the credit to see what's on the credit report. One thing I look at before I pull the credit is the debts that you're using on the 1003. So if we are out of line with those debts there, I'm not going to pull the credit. I'm going to come back to you first and say, hey, what's going on right here? We're over on the 45% DTI to see if we need to get in line before I actually pull credit to to make that score come down even more when I pull. So I'm just making sure we're in line before I pull that score. But yes, we have our own DTI.
So that, being that your own DTI, give you an example, let's say our DTI is 47, but yours is 45. Are you
That
looking?
works. I'm
That-
not looking at yours.
You're
Yeah.
not looking at ours. Okay. Yeah, because my manager was asking me, he goes, well, how could that be? I said, that's how, at first I was questioning myself going, is that the case? I mean, why are they not looking at our DTI? But now I understand, and that you have your own DTIs that you look at.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how it is that you're calculating your DTI differently than how the first lien holder would, but I do have a question that, are we going to follow the same guidelines that say FHA or rural development or conventional guidelines where you can eliminate, for example, installment loans that have fewer than 10 payments remaining on them from the calculation? That's one example I'm thinking of.
At this time, we are counting all debts, regardless how many payments it has left. I have took it to my supervisor to see if we can make any changes. At this time, it's still the same. We are counting all debts.
So that's an
I-
instance where your DTI would be higher.
Yep, that is.
Okay.
A couple more in the chat. We have first, is the THF pull a hard pull for credit?
It is.
And then it says, can any of the THF funds be used to pay off debt to lower DTI?
It cannot. Our funds cannot be used to pay off debts.
And someone's inquiring if we have a worksheet of how we calculate DTI to make for them so that they can look at it and see if it would work before sending it over.
Yes, that'll be fine. And I calculate, you can send me pay stubs just to see what income that I'm going to come up with to see if it'll work. I can do that at any time.
What triggers you pulling a hard pull? I mean, of course we pulled ours, but I wasn't aware that you pull also.
Yeah, we pull, sometimes, I don't know why, but sometimes my report is showing things that you guys aren't pulling on your report. I don't know why, but we do have to pull our reports. But I don't know, but it's sometimes different. The report is sometimes different. I'm not sure. I don't know why. Because I have seen it where a collection comes up on my report, but when I go back to the lender, it's not on their report. So it's sometimes different.
Is the hard
It's not just because you're pulling it on a different day.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
It's not just because you're pulling it on a different day.
It could be that. It could be that because I may be pulling it a week after you guys have pulled the report.
Mm-hmm.
And something new may have popped up that you are not aware of. And I may be bringing it to the table or something new. And that has been the case. They have applied for something or a collection have popped up, but that you guys didn't see it because you may have pulled it 2 weeks ago.
So in regards to collections, how are you calculating monthly payments on those collections, or?
Collections have to be paid before closing.
Okay, that's what I thought.
If it was, unless it's, well, all collections have to be paid in before closing. If you have something that happened within the past 12 months, we wouldn't be able to do it unless it's medical. We have some investors on the call. I'm not going to call you guys out, but we have some investors on the call. And with those investors, we tend to like to make exceptions for those who are investors. So if you had a collection and it was within the past 12 months, we can make an exception on that.
So if you have a medical collection, you may or may not be requiring it to be paid off.
It will have to be paid off or some type of payment history established.
12 months or less than 12?
6 months. 6 months.
6 months established payment.
Right. And so like an exception would be it could be a collection. It could be a phone bill that happened last month that we can make an exception on. Even though that's not a medical, we can make an exception because you guys are an investor.
All right, I think we have time for one more. Someone's asking, would there be any issue if we wanted to use Home Possible / Home Ready with our first?
No problems. No problem. And
That's
I like to do those. If you can take it the conventional way, because we can do a 80-20. I meant to mention that, like the 80-20, 80% with the first mortgage, and let the housing fund do 20% of that, up to 35,000. Try to get as close to that 35,000 to avoid that PMI payment.
Thank you all so much for joining. I've just posted my email one last time. If you have any other questions, feel free to send those over. But once again, thank you all so much for joining us. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for having this.
guys.
This is great.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.